As the sun began to set on the small town of Millfield, a sense of unease settled over the community. Rumors had been spreading throughout the day, whispered conversations between neighbors and co-workers, about something sinister lurking in the shadows. As night fell, the streets grew eerily quiet, with only the occasional sound of a car passing by. But then, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the town, followed by the sound of breaking glass. People rushed to their windows and peered out into the darkness, trying to see what was happening. In the distance, they could make out a figure darting between the trees, its movements quick and erratic. A group of brave souls decided to investigate, gathering flashlights and weapons before venturing out into the night. As they approached the woods, they could hear strange whispers coming from the trees, voices that seemed to be calling out their names. Suddenly, one of the group members screamed out in terror, and the others rushed to her side. They found her lying on the ground, her body twisted and contorted in unnatural ways. Her eyes were wide open, staring blankly into the darkness. The group tried to drag her away, but then they heard a low growling sound coming from behind them. They turned around to see a figure emerging from the shadows, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. In a panic, the group began to run, but the figure pursued them relentlessly, its footsteps pounding against the ground. They could hear its voice, a raspy whisper that seemed to be coming from all around them. As they stumbled through the woods, branches scratching against their skin, they realized that they were being hunted by something not of this world. And as the night wore on, they would learn the true horror of what lay hidden in the darkness, waiting to claim its next victim. The group continued to run, their breaths coming in ragged gasps as they pushed themselves to their limits. They could feel the creature's hot breath on their heels, its sharp claws scraping against the ground. One of the group members tripped and fell, screaming in terror as the creature closed in. But then, just as it was about to pounce, a sudden burst of light illuminated the area, and the creature recoiled in horror. It was a group of hunters, armed with silver bullets and crosses, who had come to save the day. They fired their guns, the silver bullets striking the creature and causing it to howl in pain. With a final shriek, the creature vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only a trail of smoke and ash. The hunters gathered the group together and led them out of the woods, back to the safety of their homes. But the terror was far from over. Over the coming days and weeks, more reports of strange occurrences would surface in the town. Doors slamming shut on their own, strange symbols etched into the walls, and the constant feeling of being watched. No one knew what had caused the outbreak of horror in their town, but they knew one thing for sure: they could never let their guard down again. The creature may have been defeated, but the darkness still lingered, waiting to strike once more. Despite the hunters' intervention, the sense of dread and fear lingered in Millfield. People became increasingly paranoid, constantly looking over their shoulders and jumping at every little sound. As the weeks turned into months, more and more strange events occurred in the town. Pets went missing, people reported hearing strange whispers in their homes, and there were even reports of people disappearing without a trace. No one knew what to do or who to turn to. The authorities seemed powerless against the unseen threat, and the hunters had long since disappeared without a trace. One night, a group of friends gathered in a small bar, seeking refuge from the darkness outside. They sat huddled together, sipping on their drinks and trying to forget the horrors that had taken over their town. But then, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the bar into total darkness. The group huddled closer together, trying to stay calm as they heard the sound of footsteps approaching them. Suddenly, the lights came back on, revealing a figure standing in front of them. It was the creature they had thought defeated, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. With a scream of terror, the group fled the bar, running through the streets as fast as they could. But the creature was hot on their heels, its presence looming over them like a dark cloud. As they stumbled and fell, the group realized that they were trapped. They had nowhere left to run, and the creature was closing in on them fast. But then, a faint glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A group of hunters appeared, armed with silver bullets and crosses, ready to fight against the darkness. The hunters engaged the creature in a fierce battle, their weapons striking against its scaly skin. It was a long and grueling fight, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But in the end, it was the hunters who emerged victorious. They drove the creature back into the darkness, vanquishing it once and for all. As the sun rose over Millfield the next day, the town was once again bathed in light. People emerged from their homes, blinking in the sunlight as they realized that the darkness had finally been banished. It had been a long and terrifying journey, but the people of Millfield had prevailed against the horrors that had sought to destroy them. They knew that they would never forget the lessons they had learned, and they would never again let their guard down against the darkness that lurked in the shadows. In the aftermath of the battle, the people of Millfield slowly began to rebuild their lives. They formed neighborhood watch groups, installed security systems in their homes, and worked together to keep each other safe. The hunters who had saved them from the creature became a regular presence in the town, providing protection and guidance to the community. They shared their knowledge of the supernatural, teaching people how to protect themselves from the darkness that still lingered on the outskirts of the town. Over time, the town began to thrive once again, and the people started to let their guard down, believing that they had finally conquered the darkness that had threatened to consume them. But they were wrong. One night, a young couple was walking home from a late-night movie when they stumbled upon a strange symbol etched into the pavement. As they looked at it, they heard a low whispering sound, and suddenly the ground opened up beneath them, pulling them into the darkness below. It was the beginning of a new wave of terror in Millfield, one that was even more insidious and dangerous than before. The creature that had once terrorized the town was gone, but something else had taken its place, something far more sinister and powerful. The people of Millfield found themselves once again caught in the grip of fear, wondering what new horrors awaited them in the darkness. They knew that they could never let their guard down again, that they would have to remain vigilant against the forces of evil that sought to destroy them. And so they banded together, drawing strength from each other as they fought against the darkness that threatened to consume them. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they were determined to persevere, to never give up, and to never let the darkness win. The people of Millfield soon realized that the darkness was not going to be defeated easily. The new threat was more insidious, cunning, and powerful, leaving the townsfolk unsure of what to do next. The hunters who had once protected the town were nowhere to be found, leaving the people to fend for themselves. It was up to the residents to stand together, to pool their knowledge and resources, and to fight against the forces of evil that threatened to destroy them. As the months went by, the town was plunged deeper and deeper into darkness. Strange things happened at night, whispers in the dark, strange symbols painted on walls, and pets disappearing once again. The people of Millfield knew that they were being watched, that something sinister was lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. The town became a place of fear and despair. People locked themselves in their homes at night, afraid to venture out into the darkness. The once thriving community had become a ghost town, with only a few brave souls venturing out to fight against the darkness. Despite the odds, these brave souls refused to give up. They were determined to find a way to defeat the darkness once and for all, no matter what the cost. They worked tirelessly, researching ancient texts, seeking out old legends and tales, and experimenting with different methods of protection. Finally, after months of hard work, they found a way to defeat the darkness. They discovered an ancient ritual that, if performed correctly, would banish the forces of evil from their town forever. The people of Millfield gathered together, standing shoulder to shoulder as they performed the ritual. They chanted in unison, their voices rising up to the heavens, as they summoned the power of light to defeat the darkness. As they finished the final chant, a bright light shone from the center of town, illuminating the darkness and banishing it forever. The people of Millfield cheered, knowing that they had finally conquered their fears and defeated the darkness that had once threatened to destroy them. From that day forward, Millfield was a different town. The people no longer lived in fear, but instead celebrated life and each other, never forgetting the lessons they had learned during their long battle against the darkness. They knew that they would always have to be vigilant, but they also knew that they had the strength and courage to face whatever challenges the future held. In the years that followed, Millfield thrived once again. The people rebuilt their community, stronger and more united than ever before. They installed new security systems, formed stronger neighborhood watch groups, and continued to work together to protect their town from any future threats. The hunters who had once saved them from the creature returned, offering their guidance and protection. They became an integral part of the community, helping to teach the people of Millfield how to defend themselves against the supernatural. As time passed, the people of Millfield never forgot the darkness that had once threatened to consume them. They told stories of the battles they had fought, passing down the knowledge and skills they had learned to future generations. And yet, despite all of their efforts, there were still whispers of something dark and sinister lurking on the outskirts of town, something that could still pose a threat to their community. But the people of Millfield were not afraid. They had faced their fears and emerged victorious, and they knew that they had the strength and courage to face whatever challenges the future held. And so they continued to live their lives, celebrating the joys of community and family, while remaining ever vigilant against the darkness that threatened to consume them once again. Despite their best efforts, the people of Millfield couldn't shake the feeling that something was still not right. There were still strange occurrences happening in the town, strange symbols appearing, and whispers in the darkness. The hunters who had once protected the town had vanished, leaving the townsfolk feeling abandoned and helpless. They tried to reach out to them, but they were met with silence. The people of Millfield knew that they needed to take matters into their own hands. They formed a new group of hunters, determined to find out what was happening in their town and put a stop to it once and for all. The new hunters scoured the town, searching for any sign of the darkness that threatened to consume them. They investigated every strange occurrence, followed every lead, and refused to give up until they had uncovered the truth. Finally, after weeks of searching, they discovered the source of the darkness. It was a group of rogue hunters who had been using dark magic to bring back the creature that had once terrorized the town. They were determined to use its power for their own gain, no matter the cost. The people of Millfield knew that they had to act fast. They banded together once again, determined to stop the rogue hunters before it was too late. In a final, epic battle, the people of Millfield fought against the rogue hunters and their dark magic. The battle was intense, with both sides fighting with all their might. In the end, the people of Millfield emerged victorious. The rogue hunters were defeated, their dark magic destroyed, and the creature banished once and for all. The people of Millfield breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that they had finally put an end to the darkness that had threatened their town for so long. As they looked around at their community, they saw a town that had been through so much and yet had emerged stronger and more united than ever before. They knew that they had the strength and courage to face whatever challenges the future held, no matter how dark or terrifying. And so they continued to live their lives, celebrating the joys of community and family, while remaining ever vigilant against the darkness that threatened to consume them once again. They knew that their town would never be the same, but they also knew that they had the power to shape their own future and create a better world for themselves and their children. As the people of Millfield celebrated their victory, they began to notice something strange happening. The sky grew dark, and a strange mist began to spread throughout the town. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to shake, and a deafening roar filled the air. The people of Millfield looked up in horror to see a massive creature, even larger and more terrifying than the one they had defeated before, looming over their town. It was then that they realized that their victory had been short-lived, and that the darkness had not truly been banished. The rogue hunters had only been the tip of the iceberg, and now they were facing a much greater threat. The people of Millfield knew that they had to act fast, but this time they were not alone. The original hunters, the ones who had once saved their town, returned to help them once again. The battle that followed was the most epic and terrifying one yet, with the fate of the entire town resting on their shoulders. The people of Millfield fought with all their might, knowing that they had to succeed or else face complete annihilation. In the end, they emerged victorious once again. The creature was banished, and the town was saved. But the people of Millfield knew that they could never truly rest easy, that there would always be another threat waiting just around the corner. And so they remained ever vigilant, knowing that they had to protect their town from the darkness that threatened to consume them at every turn. But they also knew that they had the strength, courage, and community to face whatever challenges lay ahead.